It's good of you all to come to Mass on Super Bowl Sunday, perhaps to take in an early Mass so that you can watch the game this afternoon, or perhaps to pray for your favorite team. Maybe you didn't know what a football fan your pastor is. I may not be watching the game this afternoon. I may not even know who's playing, but I will be so excited every time somebody makes a home run. One of the greatest football players of all time, indeed one of the greatest and most versatile athletes of all time, was a young man by the name of George Gipper. He played for the University of Notre Dame, where he led the team to an unbeaten season in 1919 and 1920. But then in December of 1920, the 25-year-old George Gipper, at the height of his career, contracted a throat infection which turned into pneumonia and took his life. When George was on his deathbed, the coach of Notre Dame, Knut Rockne, was visiting him. The dying star said to the coach, "I have to go. It's okay. I'm not afraid. But sometime in the future, when you see that Notre Dame is having a rough time, speak to the boys and tell them to win one for the Gipper." 8 years later, in 1928, Notre Dame was having a terrible season, losing everything. They were just about to play against Army in New York's Yankee Stadium. This was going to be a tough game, as Army had defeated them the year before. Knut Rockne called the team together in the locker room and told them the story of the Gipper's deathbed. He said, "I have never used the Gipper's request until now. But now this is that game. It's up to you boys. Win one for the Gipper." And those athletes went out onto the field that day as people possessed. They won an astounding victory. 12-6, Notre Dame won. The next day's headline in the New York Daily News read, "Gip's Ghost Beats Army." That game went down in history as the Gipper game. We hear of the Christ healing people who are sick. We even hear him healing Peter's mother-in-law. Why then was he not there to heal George Gipper when he was sick in the prime of his life? So often we go through periods in our life when we wonder, why is God not here for me at this time? Often we see people sick and dying and we ask, where is God's healing touch? Why am I not healed as so many others were? In the story of Simon's mother-in-law, we are told that Jesus came to her, touched her, raised her up. Then she was well, and she served. Why can we not feel that same healing touch? All of us dream of a cure for cancer. We dream of a cure for AIDS. We dream of a cure even for the common cold. Where is God's healing touch? Why do we fall sick and die? Alfred Hitchcock, the master of suspense, once said, "I have the perfect cure for a sore throat. Cut it." He had something there. The perfect cure to death is a new life. It is precisely at the time of death, when God comes to us, touches us, raises up to new life, that we experience the very fullness of the divine healing touch. Every miracle we see on the physical level points to an even greater miracle on the spiritual level. Those spiritual miracles are every bit as real and far more wonderful. It is at the end of our life that the Christ comes to us as to Peter's mother-in-law, touches us, and lifts us up to victory, where all will at last be well. So as we go through life, let's remember the Gipper. That team had been touched by George Gipp, and so it was that after he was raised up to new life, they were able to unite themselves to his spirit and play in union with his spirit, and so be led to victory. They did it for the Gipper. When the Christ comes to us, teaches us, takes us by the hand, and lifts us up, let us allow ourselves to be touched. Let us allow our spirits to be united to the Spirit of the Christ. The Gipper's indomitable spirit is in you, for the Christ lives in you. We too shall be lifted up. We too shall be led to victory. Win one for the Gipper. Win the big one for God.